Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Safety and Acceptance of Bio-Based Products webinar. My name is Africa from Innovarum. I'm Marketing and Communications Responsible. And me, together with my colleague Inigo, who you will meet later, will be hosting and presenting, introducing everyone in this webinar. So let's get into it, right? What are we going to be talking today about? We'll be talking about creating new products from biowaste. And this raises some natural questions. Are consumers ready to embrace products made from waste? We will get into that. In order to answer these questions, we have gathered various projects, SCALIBUR, HOOP, ValueWaste, and WaysTUP. Together, they have organized this series of webinars. Please, next slide. Perfect. This series of webinars, which is called Urban Circular Bioeconomy Webinar Series, and it started in May 2021. Next slide. Okay, so the series has counted with various events, which delve into different topics, selective collection of urban biowaste, the stakeholders engagement. We are now in the fifth webinar of the series, and there's only one more to go, which will be about policy influence. We will get a little bit more into that at the end of the webinar. Next slide, please. So before we start, let's do some basic housekeeping on how you will be able to interact and participate in the webinar. The webinar is being recorded, so you will know that this webinar is being recorded. Both the recording and the slides will be circulated to all registered participants. Besides, here in this webinar, attendees are in listen mode only. So how can you do questions? So please use the Q&A button that you will find probably at the bottom of the screen. Usually is there. Don't be shy and ask as many questions as you want. We will not be able to answer and right in a moment, but we will review them in the Q&A moments that there will be spread throughout the webinar. You can also upvote questions from fellow attendees. This way we will make sure that we are answering the most popular questions. Next slide. Okay, so just before we start, let's stay in touch. Oh, okay, no, sorry, my bad. So I think we're going to just start, and I think it's time for me to leave the floor to the first speaker of this webinar, who is going to be Amaia from GAIKER. Please, Amaia, the floor is yours. Feel free to share your presentation. Amaia, is everything okay? Can you share your presentation, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm trying to find this one. Okay, I cannot find the bottom.
Okay, there's the button.
There's the screen. Yes, I'm trying to. Okay, wait.
Do you want me to go with you quickly over it? There should be a green share a screen button at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. Wait. For some reason, I left the window of the Zoom. And I can't find, okay, here I am. Now. Okay.
Okay, and just one more thing, remember to turn your video camera on so we can see you as well.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And start video. Here. It's okay?
Perfect, yeah, we can see you. That's perfect.
Okay, sorry about that.
All good. Now if you can put the presentation mode, perfect. Okay, so I will just leave you here.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, everyone. Well, thank you very much for inviting GAIKER to attend this webinar. I am Amaia Garcia. I work in GAIKER Technological Center. It's based in the Basque Country in the north of Spain. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to break my talk in 3 main points. Firstly, I will give you a brief information regarding the new viable nutrients from ValueWaste project. Secondly, I will talk specifically about novel food and the legislation. And thirdly, I will talk about safety risk assessment. So the ValueWaste project proposes an integrated system for urban biowaste valorization into key strategic products for the European Union. And what it's a challenge is that we have to integrate valorization system in a city context and recover products with a market value. So in order to do that, the ValueWaste project has 3 processing lines. Maybe this slide has been seen before in other webinars, but it's a very useful thing to see what we are talking about. So basically what we do, we get the urban biowaste, and that is treated by different management plants who are going to obtain different high value products. In our case, we will have food and feed ingredients from methanotrophic bacteria, food and feed grade proteins obtained from insects, and the last one, we will obtain also a bio-based fertilizer. So in my talk, I will focus mainly on the first 2, the food and feed products, and then we will talk about the safety. So GAIKER is leading the work package 5 of the ValueWaste project. And among our objectives, we have to assess functionality and potential applications of bio-waste derived products. And also we have to demonstrate that these end products are fully safe. So when we talk about this kind of products, we have to introduce the word novel food. Why? Well, because according to European regulation, any food that has not been consumed significantly prior to May 1997 is considered to be a novel food. And although I haven't explained it here, just to know that there are 10 different categories of novel food. And the ones that are obtained, in this case of the ValueWaste project, obtained from bacteria or obtained from insects, they are one of those categories. So if we talk about legislation, the regulation 2015/2283 on novel foods, what it says, it introduces a centralized assessment and authorization procedure that makes things more efficient. This regulation was updated in 2018. And since that moment, the European Commission has been responsible for authorizing novel foods. And as part of that procedure of authorization, they can ask EFSA to conduct a scientific risk assessment to establish the safety. So for those who may not know, EFSA stands for European Food Safety Authority. And what they have to do, they receive the order from the European Union, and they get the dossier from the applicant. The applicant will be the company or the person who wants to register a novel food. And they give an opinion about that dossier of information. So they started like other authorities doing this kind of risk assessment, but with the updating of the regulation, they have become the only organization to do these risk assessment dossiers. So you can find different guidance on their webpage, and the one that is used for preparing the application for the novel foods is the one that I show in this slide, and it's based on the regulation that I talked about before, and you can download it in the webpage. More recently, like early this year in January 2021, they have published the first complete assessment of a proposed insect-derived food product, which you can also see that the title there. So in the ValueWaste project, as I said before, we have 2 kinds of novel foods. So what we want to do is talk about the safety that we have to do with them, what procedure we have to follow. Oh. Okay, now. So when we talk about safety, it's clear that food safety affects us all. And the risk analysis comprises three separate but at the same time connected elements, which are the risk assessment, the risk management, and the risk communication. So the risk assessment would be the one that is science-based. You have to prove the evidences. With that data, the risk management would be the one who'd say, maybe take legal measures or maybe take other control options that could be necessary. And then both type of risks have to interact with each other and exchange information, which will go to the risk communication element. So in my talk, as we are talking about safety in a scientific point of view, I will focus on the risk assessment. So the risk assessment has four main steps. The first one will be the hazard identification. That is, could this food or anything that this food has be harmful? Then we have to characterize that hazard, that what are the effects of that harmful situation, and can we get a safe level? Then we would talk about the exposure assessment, who may be harmed and at what level it could be harmful. And with all these three steps, we get the risk characterization, which is how likely is that people will experience and at what level they can cause harm in real life. So the guidance, the EFSA's guidance that I talked about before gives us the clues or the points that we have to follow to prepare an application of to authorize a novel food. And among them, we have this list of things that we have to fulfill. And I would like to focus my attention on the last part of the list, which are the ADME, which is absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion, nutritional information, toxicological data, and allergenicity. If you go to feed additives legislation and guidances, the EFSA says that to follow the novel food authorization application, it's good to follow the same strategy, the toxicity strategy that they propose for the food additives. That's why I put this slide here. As you can see, we follow different tiers, and that's because on one side, we don't want to spend more money than it's needed. I mean, you don't have to do extra studies if you don't need to. And on the other side, and for obvious reasons, as some of the study has to be conducted on animals, we don't want to use more animals than the ones that are needed. So the tier 1 is the one that you have to start from. And as you can see in the slide, the first point is absorption. Okay, so absorption was the A from the ADME in the list of things that we have to fulfill. And the good thing is that if you can prove that your food is not absorbed, but you have to prove it scientifically, you may avoid to do other toxicity studies. But if you cannot prove it, or if it's absorbed, then you have to go through the whole strategy. So basically, the toxicity strategy they have to do is genotoxicity and subchronic toxicity. In the genotoxicity, there are 2 in vitro tests. All of them have the OECD guideline available, and it's good that you should do it under good laboratory practices. So for the genotoxicity, you have the bacteria reverse mutation test or the Ames test and the micronucleus test. With both tests, we get the 3 endpoints that genotoxicity asks you to fulfill, which are the single mutations and then numerical and structural mutations. And then you have to, in this case, yes, it's an in vivo study, you have to use rats. And it's a 90-day study for toxicity, 90-day study in rats. So depending on the results you get in this tier, then you have to go or not to the next one. So it's good to follow this strategy to have your novel food safety risk assessment. If I go back, how did I do that? This one. Another point, an important point, was the nutritional information of the novel food. And here, basically, what you have to do, you have to demonstrate that the novel food is not nutritionally disadvantageous under the conditions you propose to be used. I mean, it doesn't have to have any disadvantages. And then the last one I left is the allergenicity. It's in the last part, and if you can see it in the toxicity testing, doesn't appear until the tier 3, like in specialized studies. It could be there the immunotoxicity or the allergenicity. Well, this is good to do it previously, but the problem is that why is this so challenging? It's because the mechanisms underlying the immune-mediated adverse reaction are not completely understood. So yes, we have a list of typical allergens, but in this case of novel foods, we need to know more about the proteins that could make an adverse reaction to the body. So it has, and it's more precaution. So maybe you put some allergens that they may not have the novel food, but it's good to me to have a precautionary point of view than not doing anything. So with this one, I finished my talk with two points, two messages that I want to give. The first one is that in order to ensure the highest level of protection in human health, novel food has to undergo a safety assessment before placed on the European markets. That means that every novel food that can be authorized is because they have gone all through this process. And just to make people more accept these kind of things, the food safety system in the European Union has among the highest standards in the world. So the safety assessment we do in novel foods, it's really high. Just to finish, it's good to be June because in June, we have two different things going on regarding with food. The first one, for those that, I don't know if you know, the 7th of June was the World Safety, the food of food. And the EFSA has launched a campaign that I think is going to go through the whole summer to show that the food and the safety are linked together, and the science has to do a lot of with it, is related a lot with it. And the other one is the Food for Future, which is a congress that started yesterday here in Bilbao, and it finishes tomorrow. And well, they talk about many things, and one of the things they talk about is this obtaining proteins from other sources rather than the ones that we are used to. So it could be also talking about novel foods in this case. So that was it. Thank you very much. And I don't know if there are questions or I have to answer now or maybe later.
Okay, thank you, Maya. Thank you for the great presentation. So I don't know if we have some questions. I will leave here Inigo, my colleague, here for that.
At this moment, hello. We have one question from Miguel Suarez from FETENMA. We said that, what is the current status in the procedure for novel food for insects, Amaia?
Well, as I put in one slide, in January this year, the EFSA has given the scientific opinion of insect-derived protein. The EFSA has specific guidelines or guidances for insect-derived products. You have to focus mainly on the procedure and the feed of the larvae to get the insects, and then how you do it. But the current status, I mean, is for all of them is the same. You have to follow all the points that the risk assessment analysis asks you to do it, And then you put all that information together, and you, the European member will ask EFSA to make an opinion, a scientific opinion about it. It can take, I don't know, months, 6-9 months to do it. And then with that scientific opinion of the EFSA, the European Union will decide if that is authorized or not. So.
Okay, thank you, Amaia, for your answer. Thank you, Miguel, for your questions. If it is any more questions from the audience, if not, I think we could continue to stay on time. So Africa, thank you, Amaia, for your presentation and for answering the questions. So later we will have a longer discussion moment. So we could continue with the conversation later. So Africa, if we could continue with the...
Of course. So moving on to the next presentation of this webinar, we're going to have a speaker. No, our next speaker is Gianluca, researcher and project manager at Novamont. So please, Gianluca, the floor is yours. Go ahead and share your presentation.
Thank you so much, Africa. Good morning to everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Just a moment, please. Can you see it? Okay, just a moment. Before starting, I think that is, I thank you very much for the invitation to this webinar. It is very important for us to take part and join this kind of discussion, in particular for the acceptance of bio-based products, since we are a company aiming at introducing into the markets bio-based products, and so we are very we paid a lot of attention about the public acceptance of this kind of product, and as well as to respect all the requirements for this kind of product. I am Gianluca Anzelmo. I work as a researcher for Novamont, and I will provide this presentation on your behalf, and I will just start with a little introduction of Novamont. Novamont is an international leader in bioplastic sector, and over its 30 years of experience in this sector, the main mission and let me say its vocation is particularly dedicated in developing materials and chemicals for to solve environmental problems. I don't know if there is any problem with the presentation mode. Just a second, please.
Yes, thank you. How is it going? Let's try again.
Okay. It's the double mode that offers problems somehow. Just a moment, please. Not in this way. Again. Okay. Okay. Got it. Good.
You can also try the reading mode, which is there instead of the presentation mode. Presentation and the one to right to the left.
A technical problem, sorry.
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay, I got it. Just a second. Just a second, please. No?
No, like that we don't see anything.
Now?
I think it is okay. Well, we still don't see the full screen, but I think we can continue. It's okay.
Okay, let me try just
no,
once.
Okay, go ahead, give it a try. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. We keep up. We keep going like this.
I'm sorry for that.
We can still see it.
It was good in the rehearsal, but now I cannot manage it in the proper way. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
That's it, right? Okay. So as I was saying, the mission of Novamont and its particular vocation is dedicated to the developing of materials and biochemicals through the integration of chemistry and agriculture. And so within the framework of a circular economy approach, in particular with the integration of local area and providing those solutions throughout the entire life of cycle of the products that have been implemented. And in particular, Novamont is also a certified B Corporation. So particularly taking into the particular attention to all the stakeholders involved in the whole life cycle of products that have been produced and implemented. So as an innovative company, at the core model is represented by research and development. And accordingly, Novamont takes part in different international projects in collaboration with leading Italian and international companies with the aim of creating strategic and partnership between the research and industrial agriculture in order to generate new supply chains. Among those projects that have with the main objective of valorizing biowaste, WaysTUP is one of that. In particular, the objective of this project is the disruptive transformation of urban biowaste into bio-based product. And in particular, within this project will be developed the pilot and will be established pilot demonstration of this valorization of biowaste in different European cities from Spain to Greece, in particular by the conversion of different urban biowaste, going from meat and fish waste, as well as coffee byproducts and used cooking oil. That is one of the feedstock that will be used by Novamont. And so particular bio-based products will be obtained within a circular economy approach and within the application of different technologies and different expertise from the partners of this project. Also within the SCALIBUR project, also it's at the core of this project is the objective of the better waste management. And so different stakeholders are involved, as well as research centers and companies, in order to find innovative solutions to transform urban food and sewage sludge into value-added products. Along these value chains, different expertise have been will be applied, will be involved in order to create new value chains, and in particular in order to create new business models, and in particular taking at the center also the acceptance by the public, and so of the products that will be implemented. As well, all the activities that Novamont will develop within those projects, WaysTUP and SCALIBUR, are well integrated into its value chains that is made up of different proprietary technologies as well as innovative processes. And in particular, in the last years, more and more efforts have been spent towards the upstream integration, that is the utilization of renewable sources, as well as scraps and byproducts coming from different agriculture procedures in order to be valorized for the generation of building blocks to be applied into bio-based products. And in the case of SCALIBUR, in particular, will be used the sugars coming from the organic fraction of the municipal solid waste, as well as for WaysTUP will be used the used cooking oil coming from canteens and restaurants, the so-called HoReCa residues of restaurants, and it will be converted by fermentation and also chemical processes into new building blocks to be applied in our value chains for the production of bio-based materials in order to find innovative solutions. And so all the products and all those building blocks will be integrated and will be used by Novamont into its for the bio-based production of polyesters and compostable application, in particular for the packaging application and also as waste bags. And all those products embodies a solution for the optimal collection of waste. And it is an important aspect that will return to urban context. As we start for the utilization of urban waste, and we will return to the public by improving, by launching and introducing products that will be very valuable for the collection of organic fractions of waste in order to reduce the waste to the landfill and incineration. So now let's move to practical examples that have been in which Novamont has taken part during the last years. And in particular, I will start with the case study launched in Milan, in particular dealing with the waste recycling. Also thanks to one of the leading material produced by Novamont, that is Matter B. Actually, Milan became one of the first European cities for the separate collections. It is a very big city with more than 1,500,000 of people. Actually, the campaign of waste collection door-to-door started in 2012, and it was also boosted and was took advantage of the use of biodegradable and compostable bags that are suitable for the processing in composting and anaerobic digestion facilities. As well as more than 130 tons of organic waste were collected. They were very pure. That is another important aspect for the proper use of those waste as a composting, in particular for the compost. And also Milan was a case study that was this case study was also implemented in other European contests in European cities larger with the same size and location as Milan. And we talked about this case study, but one of the important things in this kind of application in a urban context is to provide the optimal tools for the collection, in particular for the collection of waste in this case. And particularly were applied dedicated wheeled bin for the residential unit, and as well as aerated bin for optimal oxygenation of waste in order to reduce odors and liquids. In particular, one of the most important tools in this campaign was the distribution and the utilization of Matter B bags for domestic use. And all those products, in particular those bags, are biodegradable and compostable according to European requirements standard for the EN 13432. And so, thanks to the results achieved with the campaign of door-to-door collection in Milan, another campaign was launched in Milan outdoor markets. This experimental study was conducted in 5 months in 2016 in 15 open markets in Milan. As well, in this case, were involved the product dealers. More than 1,000 were involved. And in this case, it was important not only the proper collection of organic waste. It was nearly the 16% of the total produced by the market. But a very important aspect was also that it was improved the post-sale condition of the areas, thus allowing the public company Milan responsible for the waste collection to optimize cleaning times, and so giving back the area to the citizens so that they could leave also this space. And for this initiative, AMSA, that is the public company responsible for waste collection, and Novamont won the Solidaritas Social Award in 2017 in the category of sustainable consumption. And so given those extremely positive results, this project was also launched and extended to all to other open markets. And as for the door-to-door collection, also in this case, the strategy was implemented with appropriate tools. In this case, were distributed and used for the good success of this project. Steel trestles and also appropriate matter B bags with a capacity of more than 70 liters. And also in this case, all the products were biodegradable and compostable according to European standard. But another important aspect was the communication of this project among the public. In particular, giving the case of Milan, that is a multi-ethnic population, were prepared and were distributed instruction in 5 languages in order to meet all the different people living in this urban context. But, and according to the results reached by the experimentation in Milan, either in door-to-door and also by open market experience, another project, another case study was launched and performed, carried out in a big city, that is New York City. This project, this experiment was carried out in 2018, and it involved the separate organic waste in residential areas in Manhattan. In this case, 6 buildings were selected and were collecting data were collecting among 4 weeks in order to select, in order to see the monitoring all these projects at different levels. Also in this case was important the distribution of appropriate tools as compostable bags, and also Novamont, so in this case, take part in this experimentation, and also was important the communication among the people involved in this kind of experimentation, and the good results was achieved. In particular, was the proper collection. Also in this case, was important for the. Yes, I will try to. I'm terribly sorry. Yes, the connection broke down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. It was. It's technical issues.
Yeah, technical.
So audience is still there. So you have a few minutes until you.
I will try to share my screen, but I cannot. No.
Thank you everyone for your patience.
I cannot share my screen. I'm sorry.
I believe the host needs to give us new permissions again.
Of course. Thanks.
Okay, should be working now. Give it a try.
Okay, try to. Thank you. Here I am. Can you see it now?
Great. So yes.
Yeah, probably the connection was interrupted at the last case study.
So there you have some minutes to conclude your presentation.
Okay.
Thank you all the audience for the patience, and thank you, Gianluca.
Yeah, thank you all. I'm terribly sorry for this.
Oh, no problem. Technical things
for
happen.
the audience, yeah. Okay, probably that was the connection lost at this stage. So the separate collection that was implemented not only for the outdoor door-to-door collection in Milan, but also for the outdoor, in particular in open markets. And it was a very important experiment in order for the proper collection in different environments. In particular, in this case, for the open markets, it was an important experiment also to optimize the cleaning time of this area in order to give back to the citizens. For this initiative, AMSA, that is the public company responsible for the waste collection in Milan, and Novamont won the Sodalitas Social Award. And also given, according to the extremely positive results, this project was launched and extended in all open areas. And again, also in this case, the proper communication of the event and also the distribution of the appropriate tools was very important. And in particular, in this case, were implemented also instruction in 5 different languages in order to meet all the people that would be involved, and according to the multi-ethnical nature of the people that living in that areas in Milan. This case study of collecting of door-to-door collection was also launched in another big city, New York City, in 2018. In this case, were involved residential building areas in Manhattan. The experiments were conducted in 4 weeks, and all data and were gathered in order to implement this kind of example in another biggest scale. In this case, were fundamental the tools that were applied, also the compostable bags, in order to collect and achieve a proper waste to be used in composting and also for anaerobic digestion. The capture of organic waste in this case was over that the 400%. It is another important aspect within the circular economy approach and bioeconomy approach. Another case study, but was performed and carried out with the food catering, or in this case in collaboration with Milano Ristorazione. It is a company created by the municipality of Milan in 2001 in order to guarantee the catering service in public office. This experiment was particularly focused on the school catering, and so dishes and glasses made of compostable materials were implemented. And after different analysis, those materials were implemented, since actually this experiment was starting in 2015, but at the beginning were used cellulose pulp material, but those materials were not very useful for this kind of application on restoration, since the hot meal tended to deform dishes and the tableware. So by 2016, where cellulose pulp material were replaced with the Mater B products, that meeting all the service needs and all the, in particular, allowing the collection of homogeneous waste stream in order to be disposed for composting and also for the anaerobic digestion. It is another important model, not only for the collection to solve the problems of collection of urban biowaste, but also to implement another another use, an important use in the restoration and the catering services. And that's it by my side. I'm terribly sorry for the technical inconvenience.
Thank you, Gianluca, for taking again the presentation so fast, and thank you to the audience for your patience here.
Yeah, thank you, Gianluca. I think we recovered the pace of the session, and we have one question from Hildemar Mendez from the University of Stuttgart. So the question is: have samples been taken at the treatment plants where the bio-waste collected in the Mater B bags is treated? In South Germany, fragments of these bags have been found in the compost and digestate organic fertilizers from treatment plants treating municipal bio-waste.
Mm-hmm. So all the materials made of Mater B and applied for this kind of objective, so the organic waste collection, are perfectly fulfilling the requirements of the materials that we use for compost, and they are biodegradable and also used for compost. In particular, other application of this kind of materials made of Mater B, for example, are used as mulch film in agriculture. So they cover the entire life cycle of the plant, and they are and they could offer an organic carbon to the soil. So it's also important for the regeneration of soil.
Okay, Gianluca, thank you for your answer. Thank you, Hildemar, for your question. And I think if it is any more questions, if not, as you know, you could set the questions of the Q&A section in the webinar software. And at the end of the presentation, we will have a short moment to solve all the questions and discuss a little bit more about the topic. So I think, Africa, we could continue with the session.
Absolutely. So let's move on. This is going to be our last presentation for today. And the speaker is going to be Tuomo, an innovation and circular economy specialist at Savonia University of Applied Sciences. So please, Tuomo, go ahead, turn on your camera and share your presentation. Perfect.
So thank you, Africa. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I work here in the Savonia University of Applied Sciences as part of the Savonia team and as a circular economy and innovation expert. Thank you for inviting me to this webinar on safety and acceptance. My topic is on the methods for evaluating social acceptance. Okay, I seem to have also some technical problems in moving to the next slide.
You have, I think you have to click with the mouse in the arrow that is there at the bottom of the screen. You're just on it. I think if you do it, it will pass the slide.
Okay, I'm sorry, it doesn't work for some reason. Or maybe I have to take this again. So I will stop sharing and see if you can find a solution for this.
Yeah. Tuomo, if you want to have your presentation, I can share it and then you can tell me when to pass the slide.
Okay, I have sent an updated slideshow just like 1 hour ago. So if you could share that one. Yeah. But for some reason, my computer is stuck for this one. I'm sorry for the delay.
I'm on it. Okay. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on. So I will present methods on how we evaluate social acceptance of new bioproducts. Next one, please. As you know, the ValueWaste project has 3 valorizing lines, and these are producing these new bioproducts which are related to food and feed ingredients and also recycled plant nutrients. Next slide, please. The objective of task 8.3 at ValueWaste is to create joint understanding of the social acceptance and awareness of new bioproducts like food feed ingredients or plant-based recycled nutrients. And this work is connected to other work packages like on social life cycle assessment, which is led by SETENMA, and the business models development led by Savonia, and also the work package on communication and dissemination. Next, please. So what do we mean with social social acceptance. Next, please. The key components we have here, they are based on Rolf Wustenhagen's approach. So there are three key components of social acceptance. The first one is socio-political acceptance. This is more general level of social acceptance. Socio-political acceptance effectively fosters and enhances market and community acceptance, for example, opening many options for new investors and context-based planning systems. And then we have community acceptance. This can be explained by the fact that people support new product as long as it is not in their own backyard. And then we have market acceptance. Social acceptance can also be interpreted as the process of market adoption of an innovation. It focuses on consumers' level of satisfaction. The market acceptance view is not just consumers, but also investors. Next, please. In ValueWaste, we have also taken the social LCA, and this is very much related to the socio-economic impacts of the products and also the value chains that we have in ValueWaste project. So on the other side, we have the social acceptance of citizens or consumers, and on the other side, we have social LCA. And the targets are very much integrated to each other. So we are doing this work parallelly at ValueWaste and trying to also establish a model where we can take into account both point of views. Next, please. Okay, how do we then work on this? In ValueWaste, we have established interviews with stakeholders and interest groups, and so we have had like bilateral and small group discussions where we are asking for the insights and trying to see what is the context for this study. And this first stage of interviews also determines the next steps. Sorry, I didn't say next slide, but after interviews we have established a major workshop on social acceptance and social LCA, and most importantly, a survey questionnaire on social acceptance and social LCA at Murcia and Kalundborg cities. Next, please. The survey questionnaire starts with the introduction, of course, and then we ask for background of the respondent, country of residence, education, gender, and age. And these are important because we need to know who answers our survey, so that we can then also analyze the results against these background factors. Next, please. The introduction of this survey was made in 3 languages, and obviously we used the Kalundborg and Murcia experts to translate from English to Spanish and Danish, and so the respondent can choose from these languages. Next, please. As a couple of examples on what we ask. So this is an example. Do you agree on the following statements? And there are questions, for example, on do we need new protein sources for humans, or do we need new fertilizers, and so on. Also, there are some questions on biowaste management. that how it should be managed and what should be done with bio-waste. And also we ask for if the respondent thinks these topics are important. And so these are not actual results, but these represent more that how do we ask. There is a scale from 1 to 5. So we use the Likert scale for trying to classify the answers by using the five states Likert scale. Sorry, the answers are from 0 to 5. Okay, next please. And we also have questions like yes and no. When we ask for the market acceptance, it's also important to know if the citizens have any experience or if they have bought these type of new bioproducts, like for example protein bars or protein powder or something like that. And this is also this is not a result from the study, but this is an example how we collect the answers and whether the market is like accustomed to this type of products. Next, please. So we get these answers mainly by applying the Likert scale, and so we use this scale to when we determine the public acceptance. But this is the result is not directly useful, so we have to apply a little bit. And there are some studies by Thomson and Joyce and Thomson and Boutillier, and they have used this withdrawal acceptance approval of psychological identification. So we are trying to understand the citizen behavior actually here, and the behavioral aspect is important. Next, please. And what we expect as a result. So we expect to get insights on citizen perceptions and social acceptance and awareness on environmental aspects. We will also get insights on the acceptance of citizens, including customer and end user, on new circular economy products and services related to food, feed, protein with insects or bacteria, or biofertilizers in relation to the value chains of value waste. And by this information, we will learn on the consumer willingness to adopt new technologies, products, and services. We will also develop and apply systematic approaches when developing circular economy business models. We will gain new insights on 3 aspects of social acceptance when developing new business on circular economy of urban bio-waste. We also gather information on the changing needs, wants, and demands, which are different in different mindsets and cultures. So basically mindsets, cultures, and different values, traditions, and priorities, they can be different. So, and we're trying to understand this. Next, please. As a practical implication, understanding of social acceptance and its limitations will help us to design better products, services, and business models on circular economy. Understanding people's perceptions of bio-waste and the utilization as a new resource on circular economy, their thoughts, feelings, and expectations is a key component of the project. By participating, the participants' values will influence industry practices and government policy and contribute to one of the most important project outcomes. Guidelines for industry, government, and communities on how to work together and ensure a more responsible bio-waste management and their utilization as a sustainable resource for protein and fertilizer production. Next, please. As a conclusion, in order to help the new bioproducts to enter the market and make new circular economy business models, the social acceptance and social LCA need to be understood. And our report on the first insights of social acceptance, a public report, will be published at the end of June. And then I think this is all from me for now. If there are questions, I'm available to answer.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Tuomo. I will leave you here with Inigo for the questions.
Thanks, Tuomo. Now it's time for this was the last presentation on this webinar. Now it's time to questions for discussion. Very interesting the social scope, the social part of this acceptance of these bioproducts. So if there is any question, remember you could write it down in the Q&A section, as we did it in previous presentations. If not, I invite our colleagues we could start this short, a few minutes of a short discussion where I have some questions for you, and we'll, for sure, the questions from the audience are still being welcome. So feel free to write down your questions. Tuomo, I have a question for you. Why do we need to study the social acceptance of these bio-based products? Why it's relevant, not just the development of the solutions, but to study how society will accept or not these products?
Okay, thanks for the question. I think that the main challenge here is that we do not know enough on the social acceptance of these new bioproducts, and we don't know on the customers or citizens. So what type of behavioral change would be needed? And so these are the main aspects we should understand in order to get these new bioproducts to the market. And also, so this is a kind of interaction between on the other hand, the production, and on the other hand, on the consumption, that we have this interaction to develop better products and better and acceptable products, and also value chains, so that we also fulfill the sustainable development goal.
Thank you. I think the challenge you have on ValueWaste project, because we were talking about the social acceptance of bio-based products based on waste. But then in ValueWaste, we have a double challenge. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that we have a double challenge because this waste becomes into products as the insects, and then which it has some social relative acceptance, and then another area which is this methanotrophic bacteria that probably is difficult to understand by the population what we are talking about. So I'm not sure if do you have any, or you consider this could be the most challenging dimension of the social acceptance of these bioproducts? Is there any other area where the residue these bioproducts acceptance, it's a challenge, especially?
Well, of course, the use of bio-waste is here the thing, and if we want to, for example, produce some food, but I think that these social acceptance studies have already affected the production also, that it has gone more to feed direction, and also that we are talking about the ingredients not the food products or feed product as such.
Great. Thank you, Tuomo, for your question. Continuing with the discussion, Gianluca, welcome again. I have a question for you, which technologies are applied at this moment for the valorization of waste, and what implications do they have on the safety of these bioproducts? How these valorization methodologies could impact on the safety of these bio-based products?
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Inigo. Yes, as well, as was exposed before, particular attention was paid to the use of innovative technologies for the application of, for the valorization of this kind of waste. In particular, some of them will be used and integrated in our technology, in particular for the sugars deriving from OFMSW within SCALIBUR, for the generation of new building blocks to be used for the bioplastics, in particular for flexible application. And for the use of oil, we saw an increasing attention to this kind of the valorization of this kind of material, this kind of bio-waste. And an important issue is the appropriate collection of this waste, as well as we implemented and optimized different procedures for the application of chemicals, in particular looking at the recycling of chemicals that have been applied in the pretreatment of this kind of waste, in order to use in a proper way within our technologies. So particular attention was paid with the optimization of procedures, in particular for the utilization of chemicals and their recycling. At the end, so those building blocks are applied into a particular application of bioplastics. And in this case, all the products that will include those building blocks will be checked, will fulfill the requirements of the legislation for this application. As I told you, the particular attention was paid for the legislation of biodegradable and compostable products according to the strict requirements that have been imposed by EU. So all the products will be checked and will be satisfy the requirements of biodegradability and compostability.
Great. Thank you for your answer, Gianluca. But this is not we have another question from the audience, from Miguel, again from FETENMA. The question is from Gianluca. What is the current legal framework for application of bioplastics obtained from waste into food packaging? Are special requirements and standards needed for approval?
Yeah, the standards, we follow the standards that are imposed by the EU legislation. As I told you before, one is the requirements for the biodegradability and compostability, the EU 13432 requirements. All those products have been demonstrated and established to be compostable and biodegradable, not only in soil, but also in marine environments. So we take particular attention for these kind of requirements of products. So all the products that Novamont implemented, also with the use of bio-based products, also coming from bio-waste, will test and will be particular attention was paid for their compostability and biodegradability aspects.
Great, thank you, Gianluca. And just the last question, because we are running out of time, and the last question is for Amaia from GAIKER. Amaia, I would like to ask you, what should be improved in the novel food assessment? Which is the most critical points to be improved in the current assessment that the novel foods should develop?
Well, I think now at this moment, the part or the point that is less known or less studied, and I said in my presentation that it was challenging, was the allergenicity assays or allergenicity studies. Because now what we do is that if the food, novel food comes from a known allergen, from a food that has an allergen known, then directly the novel food is labeled like that. But if it's not the case, we go to the context of the most viable protein in that novel food. But sometimes we need to have more better databases, more and improved bioinformatic approaches, improve the protein digestion protocols to study this allergenicity and to know if this protein of this novel food will provoke or induce an adverse effect. So, and more predictive in vitro or in vivo approaches. So I would all related to the allergenicity, which is the less covered part of the safety assessment. You are muted.
Yeah. Microphone, sorry. Thank you, Amaia. Quite interesting to take into account this the allergenicity of the allergen presence in the bioproducts that we are going to assess. I think we conclude our discussion session just to Africa. We could just say goodbye to our audience. That was really helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Can you share the slides, the final slides for me a second?
Sorry?
The final slides, do you think you can share them?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I just wanted to thank all the speakers, take the moment for being here and for adapting to the technological issues we had and for your amazing presentations. And to the audience, now that the presentation is coming, let's stay in touch. Contact us if you have further questions or you want to learn more. Follow our projects on social media because all the projects you have seen here, ValueWaste, the projects you see below, ValueWaste, Hoop, WaysTUP, SCALIBUR, they all have social media accounts where they update, give updates and share what they are doing. And of course, join the Hoop network of cities and regions. And if you want to know more, go to their webpage and learn about it. And I think there's one last slide. And just as the last step, I wanted to invite you all to go to the last webinar of this series, which will be about policy influence, the 30th of June. If you still are not registered, please go ahead and do so. And if you know someone who might be interested in the topic, invite them as well. Thank you so much. This was all on our side. We're very happy to have shared this moment with you, and we hope to see you soon.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day and see you on the next webinar session. Goodbye.